This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 3 hours and holding, and we are at the astronaut quarters in the crew suit-up room where we see our Commander Scott Altman being fitted with his helmet, and our pilot Greg Johnson also going through the same activities and some verifications of the pressurized launch and entry suits and being assisted with his gloves. And mission specialist Michael Good. There was Steve Lindsay, our chief of the astronaut here at KSC. Drew Feustel. All of these crew members suiting up and looking forward to some very lengthy EVAs on this flight. 6.5 hours on average. Going across the room now. And that is John Grunsfeld. And he is suited up with his helmet ready to go. And we're coming over now to our mission specialist Mike Massimino, waiting his helmet fit check. And down on the end here is our mission specialist, Megan MacArthur. And as we can see, most of the activities now are well along and almost complete. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 56 minutes, 30 seconds, and we see the STS-125 Atlantis astronauts now are walking down the hallway led by our commander and pilot. Here we see astronaut Steve Lindsay, who will be flying weather reconnaissance today. Jerry Ross, who runs the astronaut office here at KSC. They are starting down the elevator to the astronaut transfer van. And here are the astronauts now walking out of the astronaut quarters, boarding the astronaut van. Got Altman now climbing on board. Here he comes through the hatch onto the flight deck from the lower crew cabin. We're joined now here in firing room 4 with astronaut Janice Foss. Once you're on board, and as we're seeing here, they're helping them strap into their seats and things. And is everyone very preoccupied with the activities that they have to do to get ready for the launch at this point, or are they thinking about more about what's coming up on orbit, or what's the mindset when you're getting ready to be, when you're being strapped in, getting ready to go?
A little bit of all of the above. There are duties that you have assigned that change with time, and so you're thinking ahead to make sure that you're ready for the next thing you're supposed to do. You also have a process you have to go through that includes comm checks that you need to get done in a smart fashion so you don't slow up the timeline. So right now they are very focused on just the seat stuff, but as soon as you get in your seat and they move on to the next person, then they're listening to all the communications that come in, all the ground launch sequencer stuff that's going on, and trying to monitor any issues that might be arising, might affect what they'll be doing next.
Who are some of the people that are on the White Room crew that are helping you folks in?
Typically you'll have one person assigned for the mid-deck strap-in and one person for the flight deck strap-in to do the mechanical strap-in part, and then you'll have a second person helping with the comm checks on the mid-deck and the flight deck. You can see, I think, 2 people in white, on the flight deck at the moment helping with the process, and there would similarly be probably 2 people on the mid-deck until they're done.
Attention on the net, this is the NTD performing the launch status checks. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC. OTC go. TBC.
TBC's go.
PTC.
PTC is go.
LPS.
LPS is go.
Houston flight.
Houston flight is go.
Mila.
Mila is go.
STM.
STM is go.
Safety console.
Safety console is go.
SPE.
SP is go.
LRD.
LRD is go.
SRO.
SRO is go. You have a range clear to launch.
And CDR.
CDR and entire crew is go.
And I copy that. That completes step 1122. Launch Director, NTD.
Launch Director?
Yes, sir. Our launch team is ready to proceed. We are tracking no constraints.
Okay, I copy that. I'll do my poll at this time. KC Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch. No constraints, Mike. Thank you, Steve. KC Safety and Mission Assurance. KC Safety and Mission Assurance is go. Copy. Payload Launch Manager. Mike, Hubble Program and Hubble Ground Processing are go for his launch. Copy that. Thank you, Bill. Range Weather.
Weather has no constraints for launch.
Thank you, Kathy. And Ops Manager.
Mike, we've cleared our issues. The MMT isn't tracking anything else. Everything looks good. You're go to launch.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Atlantis Launch Director.
Hey, Atlantis, ready to copy, Launch Director.
Okay, Scooter. Well, look, it's a great day to go fly. So on behalf of the KSC Processing and Launch Team, I'd like to wish you, your crew, and the whole Hubble Space Telescope team a great mission. Good luck, Godspeed, and we'll see you back here in about 11 days.
Well, from the whole crew, Mike, I just want to say thank you. All I can really think is that at last our launch has come along. It's been a long time coming. I know it took the work of the entire team across our entire agency to bring us to this point. Looking back, it's been 50 years since President Kennedy challenged us to do the other thing, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. Getting to this point has been challenging, but your team, the whole team, everyone has pulled together. We're taking a little piece of all of us into space, and at this point, all I got left to say is let's launch Atlantis. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Scooter, and enjoy the ride, pal. NTD, Launch Director,
You got
you are clear to launch Atlantis.
I copy that, sir. The countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. T-minus 9 minutes and counting. GLS auto sequence has been initiated.
The ground launch sequencer now controlling the countdown. It will monitor over 1,000 parameters.
PRP adjusting screen brightness across the board.
Copy. EPD. GLS's go for orbiter access arm recheck.
Atlantis OTC, best of luck upgrading the HST to increase our knowledge for light years to come.
OTC, Atlantis copies. We're looking forward to it, and we'll give it our best.
GLS's go for orbiter APU start.
PLT, perform APU start.
OTC PLT in order.
CDR, reconfigure heaters.
CDR is reconfigured work. And OTC PLT, 3 good APUs.
Copy.
To start the orbiter aerosurface profile test.
GLS's go for purge sequence 4.
PLT, clear caution warning memory, verify no unexpected errors.
OTC, PLT in work.
Handoff to Atlantis has occurred from the ground launch sequencer.
20.
Nozzle check of the SRBs. Firing chain is armed. Sound suppression water system armed. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. A final visit to enhance the vision of Hubble into the deepest grandeur of our universe.
Bypass across the board, Scooter, no action.
Houston now controlling, Atlantis on its way. Atlantis on its way, all three engines now throttling down as the vehicle passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
Atlantis, Houston, no action on the MPS H2 out P.
Houston, we copy, no action.
Atlantis, go at throttle up.
Houston, Atlantis copies, go at throttle up.
7 miles in altitude. Altitude 49,000 feet. Flight control team discussing the minor transients that we're seeing at liftoff. All three engines are in good shape. The vehicle is headed downrange. All three hydraulic systems in good shape, as are the fuel cells. Atlantis is 18 miles and altitude, downrange 23 miles. Already traveling 2,500 miles per hour, approaching staging, the burnout of the twin solid rocket boosters, which have been burning fuel at a rate of about 11,000 pounds per second. Solid rocket boosters have done their job. Atlantis is continuing in its due easterly course to catch up with the Hubble Space Telescope one last time. Altitude 35 miles, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center 51 miles, altitude 195,000 feet. Atlantis is traveling 3,300 miles per hour. Again, all three main engines are in good shape, as are the hydraulic systems, the auxiliary power units, and the fuel cells. No issues heading to orbit.
Atlantis, two-engine Maroon.
Houston, Atlantis copies, two-engine Maroon.
3 minutes into the flight, Atlantis.
H2 out P is a deucer only, and the ASA-1 is a power only.
Copy, ASA-1 power only, and the H2 is deucer.
Atlantis, single-engine Banjul 104.
Copy, single-engine Banjul 104.
That call indicating that Atlantis could reach Banjul in the Gambia, although that is not a transoceanic abort landing site.
Atlantis, negative Maroon, select Banjul.
Houston, we copy. Negative Maroon, selecting Banjul.
Vehicle rolling to heads up now to get good communications through the tracking and data relay satellite system. 6 minutes, 25 seconds into the flight. Downrange from the launch site, 4,030 miles. Altitude, 353,000 feet, or about 67 miles.
Press 109.
Houston, we copy. Single engine press 109.
Your shutdown plan is nominal. You are go for the plus X and go for the pitch.
Houston, we copy. Nominal shutdown. Go plus X. Go pitch.
A call indicates that Atlantis can reach orbit on one engine should two fail. Again, all three are in good shape. Approaching 7 minutes into the flight. The plus X is a maneuver that's conducted after the vehicle separates from the external fuel tank. These views from the camera on the feed line on the external fuel tank looking up at Atlantis. We'll lose that view here in about a minute or so.
And this is a replay of a video shot on board Atlantis earlier this afternoon of the external tank after separation. This video shot through the flight deck windows, the aft flight deck.
The first views of Atlantis's payload bay, the airlock in the foreground from which the 5 back-to-back spacewalks will be conducted. Just behind that, looking aft, you see the super lightweight interchangeable carrier that houses the new wide-field camera that will be installed on the telescope. Out of view behind that is the orbital replacement unit carrier, and then all the way at the back end of the payload bay is the flight support system. Another rack of change-out hardware for the telescope housed on the multi-use logistics equipment carrier in the very back of the payload bay. Along the left side on the right in this view, as the left-hand door comes open, is the shuttle's robotic arm. The remote manipulator system will be used extensively throughout the flight. Its first opportunity will be during a checkout a little bit later on the first day of the flight, and then throughout the second day of the flight it will grapple the extension boom, the orbiter boom sensor system you see on the along the right side of the payload bay, and on the left in this view, that will be used to do an extensive survey of all of the thermal protection system, the tiles, and the reinforced carbon-carbon wing leading edge panels and nose cap, as well as some additional views back near the tail of the orbiter on either side, the orbital maneuvering system pods. The robotic arm throughout the mission will be operated most extensively by Megan MacArthur, as she's serving as the flight engineer and the lead robotics officer for the mission.
This is from a camera at the forward port side of the payload bay, right behind the crew cabin, looking aft along the length of the space shuttle's robotic arm. We're seeing the middle joint and then off to the end, and cameras located at that elbow as well as out at the hand. And there see the view at the far end of the robotic arm, released from being restrained at the end. Soon there the same happening with the elbow of the robotic arm, and it's being raised from the shoulder by mission specialist Megan MacArthur. As is always the case on orbit, a dramatic sunrise which improves our view into the end effector of Atlantis's robotic arm. This is a view from the camera at the aft end of the payload bay on the port side, tilted up, looking into the business end of the robotic arm as mission specialists Megan MacArthur and Mike Massimino prepare to begin the survey of the payload bay and the various systems located in the payload bay for this Hubble Space Telescope servicing mission, including the flight support system, the platform upon which Hubble will be berthed, and the several racks which are bringing up the new equipment and will bring home the old equipment. Those include the super lightweight interchangeable carrier, the orbital replacement unit carrier, and the multi-use logistic equipment carrier. Survey of the payload bay will also take a look at the other items standard inside the shuttle payload bay, including the tool support assemblies, which are either side of the airlock, which in this case is out in the payload bay of the shuttle as well. This upcoming survey of Atlantis's crew cabin is part of the flight plan on this flight because there is no rendezvous pitch maneuver imagery available, as there has been on each previous space shuttle flight since the loss of Columbia. On all of those rendezvous with the International Space Station, shuttle commanders have flown up to a distance of some 600 feet below the International Space Station and then performed a head-over-tail backflip to expose the underside of the shuttle to the cameras wielded by space station crew members, shooting with high-powered lenses through the windows in the Earth-facing side of the space station back in the Zvezda module. Since this flight is not going to the International Space Station, there will be no RPM pictures available. So the current survey will be conducted in daylight. Today's crew cabin survey designed to look for any indications of damage that might have been suffered on any areas of the orbiter during its ride to orbit this afternoon. This data, this imagery, will be combined with that already captured by cameras on the ground, as well as other data still on board Atlantis, still to be downlinked to the ground, including the imagery from the umbilical well camera of the external tank after its separation, and likewise video from a camera on the external tank itself looking at the underside of the shuttle, plus data gathered by the sensors in the leading edges of the shuttle's wings. All of that information, along with that to be gathered tomorrow during a survey using the orbiter boom sensor system with its cameras and laser imagers, will be scrutinized by the specialists here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, looking for any evidence of any damage to the shuttle's thermal protection system,